All right, welcome back. We're here for another episode of Two Plain Sports. This is going to be more of a recruiting edition of our video focus. And today, there's been a lot of stuff going on over the last, week and a half. A lot of moving parts, a lot of coaching changes, a lot of everything, and it's changed the whole recruiting scene for Oklahoma and honestly for the entire landscape of college football with Lincoln Riley leaving and Brent Venables joining the Sooners.
TBOW, by the way.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about the quarterback situation with Caleb Williams, maybe a couple transfer, or maybe a transfer, maybe a new kid. We're going to talk about Gabriel Brownlow Dindy decommitting because of Coach Thibodeau leaving. We're going to talk about Kobe McKenzie, how he flipped, committed to Texas. Does OU have a chance of getting back into this equation? We're going to talk about a few others as far as some spots that could, kids going to the NFL like Perion Winfrey and a few others. And what does that look like for the depth there? And what, do the Sooners take a transfer? And that's going to be about it for this one. There's a lot of stuff coming up. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Definitely go follow us on Twitter and Instagram. And we are now on Spotify. So it's all at Two Plain Sports. You can go on there. You can follow us on Spotify. You can get notified every time a podcast is uploaded. And it could be easier for you to listen to on your way to work or anything else. So you don't actually have to watch us. And if you don't like looking at us, perfect. Just go to Spotify. You don't have to look at us. So make sure to do that if you hadn't already. That'll be all the links will be in the description below. I think we'll get into it now with the most pressing and the hottest topic for Oklahoma is the quarterback situation. Obviously, if you guys don't know already, which I'm sure majority of you guys do, OU has hired and officially, it's official with Jeff Lebby being the OC, the offensive coordinator for the Sooners. And if you hadn't already, we released a video yesterday, what we thought about Jeff Lebby, his potential. Really just to put it in a few sentences, Jeff Lebby's offense is very comparable to Lincoln Riley, not a huge drop off. They're going to score a ton of points, just like Lincoln Riley's offense did. So obviously Caleb Williams, there is a chance he could leave. He's committed to play through the bowl game, the Alamo Bowl for the Sooners, which is good. It gives the Sooners more time. And then after that, it's not, we're not sure if he's going to stay or he's going to transfer. So I want to, before we get, potential transfer or, a new kid coming out of high school, I want to get you guys' opinion. What do you think the odds of Caleb Williams leaving or whatnot? Brandon, you want to go?
I'm just going to take the optimistic route, the route I want to see happen. 0% chance Caleb Williams leaves.
Yeah, that's fair. Jose?
Yeah, I think it seems a lot less likely he's leaving now that some stability is starting to tend to the program, and he's really diving into the culture of not just OU football, but OU as a campus. He's been at almost every single basketball game. He gets standing ovations. He's there with Danny Stutzman, who's already said he was going to stay, and I think the friendships he's made are going to help keep him at OU. It's like I said, whenever Lincoln first left and Brandon was one of the guys that was like super worried about Caleb leaving. I don't think once a player's on campus, they can make an easy decision and say, I'm not coming back. And that's not for everyone, but I think a guy like Caleb, who has, from the moment he stepped on campus, has been so loved by the fans. Before he even took a snap, people were, right or wrong, were chanting, we want Caleb when Spencer was in the game. Then when he finally got in the game, people just erupted. The first time he got introduced as a starter at an OU home game, it was a viral video on Twitter, at least on OU Twitter, and definitely got some national attention. Like, this dude gets so much love from this fan base that I think it's hard for him to say, I can't stay here any longer. And like you said, with Jeff finally being inserted at this position, he now has an idea of how his development is going to go moving forward. And I'm sure once Jeff finally lands in Norman and gets to speak with him, he may feel a lot more comfortable to finally maybe outwardly say, I'm not going anywhere after the bowl game, which is my hope. And I really don't expect him to leave, but there's always that chance, I guess.
Yeah. So, there's some talks, obviously the Sooners are going to try to cover themselves and protect themselves because behind Caleb Williams, Ralph Rucker, not trying to say he's not good or anything. There's just the depth just isn't quite what it was this
Micah
past
Bowens.
season. Yeah, Micah Bowens. Yeah, you're right. So the transfer that could potentially be on campus soon visiting is a guy by the name of Dylan Gabriel. He's quarterback for UCF, and he coming out of high school, he was a 3-star prospect. He wasn't very highly rated. He has put together some good seasons. He came to UCF in 2019. While he was there, he threw for 3,600 yards, 29 touchdowns, 7 picks. 2020 threw for 3,500, almost 3,600 yards, 32 touchdowns, 4 picks. And earlier this year, he played a handful of games and he broke his clavicle, but he was having a decent season, 814 yards, 9 touchdowns, 3 picks. A kid that can really throw the ball, sling it around. And he was there with Jeff Lebby in 2019 when he was the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. So there is a familiarity there. He can definitely throw the ball. And I feel like the connection, he was trending towards Ole Miss because of Jeff Lebby. And I feel like he was only going there because of him, or he was really interested in it. I mean, not saying that he's not interested in Lane Kiffin, maybe. But I feel like the connection between Jeff Lebby and him is there. And I feel like if there was a kid that was going to transfer, it would be him. And because of that connection, Jose, what do you think about him? If you've kind of looked at him very much, I mean, a guy that throws 32 touchdowns, that's not a bad season at whatever level.
Yeah. To be honest, I haven't looked at that much tape on him. I did check him out a little bit. Clearly the main reason that we're even considering him is because of his connection to Lebby. Lebby probably feels like he's really well suited to run the offense. He excelled from the numbers you just threw out there. He did well when Lebby was still the offensive coordinator and QB coach at UCF. So it's not like he would be a bad guy to bring in. And I think he would be an amazing backup. I think where we're bringing someone in like him and another guy we're going to talk about here in a second is people will now be very, very, I don't want to say suspicious, but they're going to be at their edge of their seats about Caleb's status moving forward. But I think that the coaches are doing this to make sure that there's depth, not because Caleb is leaving, but I mean, you never know what's going to happen. And injuries come up in football all the time, and I don't wish that upon anyone. Knock on wood, Caleb stays healthy for his entire football career. But if Caleb does go down, we don't have Spencer Rattler to go back to. Spencer's gone, and there's a huge drop off in talent between him and Ralph or Micah, and we need to make sure that our asses are covered with any possibility of that happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you're 100% right, Hose. It's like a depth thing for us, but what scares me about it is what you mentioned about the whole Caleb Williams possibility of transferring and things like that. I think I don't want Caleb Williams himself to take it the wrong way if we bring in a kid like that, who I also don't think is very good. For him, it's a huge stepping stone to go from Central Florida to Oklahoma. But and obviously I think he's better than Ralph or Michael Bowens. Again, no disrespect for those guys, but it just scares me to recruit these quarterbacks who are supposed to be pretty nasty. Because I just don't want Caleb to take it the wrong way. Because I've mentioned on multiple of our videos, retaining Caleb Williams is priority 1.
Yeah, I mean, and another thing is if they brought him in, Gabriel, that would signal to me that Caleb Williams is probably going to leave. And not saying if they bring him on for a visit or an offer or whatnot, but I'm saying if he actually commits, and maybe by that point, if he commits, Caleb's already gone. But if not, because why would a guy that is the starting quarterback at Central Florida transfer to go be the backup to Caleb Williams?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and that's why I don't love it.
Well,
and he's not even very good. I'm telling the kid's not good. He's okay.
I mean, I don't know.
There's
Dude, he's shredding Tulsa. He's shredding Tulane. He's shredding.
It's like
Rice,
I said though,
shredding
like
Southern Miss. Like it's.
you
I'm
guys are
sorry,
making
no,
my point
but
right
that's
now.
not, that ain't it. That's not it.
I understand that it's frustrating the possibility of it, but at some point Caleb will, if he does stay at Oklahoma for the rest of his football career, we will need someone to take over. And this kid would have how many years left of eligibility? 2 or 3?
Well, I think he would. I think he would get a medical red shirt for this year, and then COVID would be free from last year. So
why,
I mean,
so we would have. Well, we don't know what's happening in 2023, so we would need at least a backup plan. If Caleb stays, we would expect him to leave in 2023. So then we need someone to take over for that season once Caleb's gone, because the future is uncertain in regards to recruiting. It's very much more uncertain than it was under Lincoln Riley, because under Lincoln, we knew we had Malachi. So Caleb, if Spencer transferring wasn't a huge deal because we believed in Caleb and he was going to probably, it was pretty much guaranteed he was sticking around, and we were good. Now there's a little bit of uncertainty, and again, I do not believe Caleb's going to leave after he gets to speak with Levy. I think his development is going to be a lot better than anywhere else in the country at this point. And there's little to no chance he goes to USC because their program is, but realistically, yes, Lincoln's going to make them better, but their program is not great right now. They have a lot of quarterbacks on their roster that are good, including Jackson Dart, who was a guy that's a good freshman, and they have what's the guy's name that was supposed to be their starter that was their starter last year. I can't recall. That's besides the point, but that we need a backup plan for once Caleb's gone, and this kid would be the backup plan unless we would get a guy like Arch Manning or a different 22 quarterback.
Hold on. So I have 2 things to say, and I think first of all, the first point is I guess not a question, but the first point is I hope Caleb Williams' first call in this whole process is to Matt Corral. And is Matt Corral a Heisman finalist?
No,
he's not. Okay,
but he was on that list for a long time.
He was close. Yeah. Okay. I hope the first call that Caleb Williams makes is to Matt Corral, because Matt Corral has already endorsed him on Twitter. He's already if that helps sell Levy to Williams, that would be very fantastic. And the second thing, going back to this kid from Central Florida, and it's because Hose, you're bringing it up as like the backup point. Yeah, he's a good backup to have. He's a good, second plan, whatever. And I guess my question to you is why not set the bar higher with the 23 class, with Arch Manning, with other guys like that, because
there's uncertainty, and it's like Brent said in his press conference, the players he's focused on are the guys on his roster now and the guys in this upcoming class. He said it himself. He's not looking at 2023. He's definitely not looking at 2024 until those classes are coming up. So until after the last signing day for this 2022 class, that's when he'll put more effort into the 2023 class. And I think he's probably still putting in effort now. Like we saw today, and a recruit in the 2023 class that I can't recall his name, but the offensive lineman reconfirmed his commitment.
Bates.
To OU. Bates. Thank you. So he's definitely having communication with guys that have committed to us, but he's not actively looking for new commits. He might, watch tape here and there, but he's not taking visits. He's not, it doesn't, or I'm not going to say that as a definite. It doesn't seem like he's taking visits. It doesn't seem like that's priority number one. Priority number one is keeping guys like Caleb, Mario Williams, Mims, guys that at some point potentially or did express the using the transfer portal, keeping him on campus, and then again focusing on 2022. And this kid at this point is part of the 2022 class, as well as the kids coming out of high school, and he has to focus on what's good for the program. If anything bad happens, you don't want to be caught with your pants down like we were with the Lincoln Riley situation. And
the one thing that is encouraging as we inch closer to this bowl game, which we're now as as of this recording, it's December 8th. I think we play December 29th, so we're sort of like 3 weeks out exactly. As we inch closer to this bowl game, the longer they stay on roster, the better I feel. As far as those big guys, as you mentioned, Caleb Williams, Mario Williams, guys like that. So hopefully, we keep getting close to the bowl game, and there's no tweet from Caleb Williams about us telling me going to the portal.
Yeah. I mean, and I think more so like a potential depth guy is the next one we're going to talk about is Nick Evers, more looking to the future. He, for anyone that doesn't know, he's 6'3", about 190-pound quarterback out of Flower Mound, Texas. He's number 156 overall and number 10 quarterback in the 2022 class, 4-star. Solid player. He was committed to Florida for a while, and he was under the impression from the Dan Mullen coaching regime that he was going to be their only quarterback. And I feel, and some things have changed, and he decommitted. And I don't know if there's really any connection, but I'm just looking at that as if you're trying to get another guy on the roster, at least looking for the future, he would be someone to look at because it's so late in the cycle. He just decommitted. There's not many top 10 quarterbacks available right now in the 2022 class. I feel like they're going to have to jump all over this, in my opinion. But I don't know, if he really fits Jeff Levy's system or whatnot. But I feel like just from a pure evaluation standpoint, he would be someone that they have to, check in on and see his interest.
Yeah, and from what I understand, they are trying to plan an official visit with him. So there's an attempt. Who knows if the guy has interest? I think that's where there's still an uncertainty. But I mean, you made a good point. That guy would clearly be the future. And the one thing that us as fans and other fans need to think about and realize is he is still a very talented quarterback. He may not be what we're used to with getting Spencer Rattler and Kyler Murray and Caleb Williams. They're not the number one quarterback right now. They're not the 5-star guys that we're used to, but he's talented. Not every quarterback that's ever been successful at the college level or pro were 5 stars. If anything, more of them, Baker was a walk-on. If anything, more of them are not 5 stars. More of them are 4 and 3-star guys that just love the game and were able to develop really well under the right coach. Like Brandon has said a lot of times, and Brum as well. Like at this point, we believe in what's happening. We just have to wait and see, and whatever happens. I believe these coaches are in a great position to develop the talent that they have on their roster. If it's Caleb Williams moving forward, which I hope it is, I think Caleb is going to be an amazing quarterback and put himself in a situation to be a Heisman winner. If it's not, that's really unfortunate, and I would hate to see it, but they have to prepare for what's next. And there's still, clearly they believe there may be some uncertainty there. And as confident as they may feel, you have to prepare for the worst.
Yeah. Brandon, what do you think? Anything?
I don't know. I hate Lincoln Riley with everything that's burning inside of me. And the only reason that I bring that up is I kind of believed in his philosophy in recruiting quarterbacks because it worked. As far as, so Caleb Williams was what, class of 21?
20.
Yeah.
Class of 20?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 20.
But the next quarterback that he was looking at wasn't until 23 or something, which was Malachi Nelson. Because that, when you do that, you lock in the confidence of your first quarterback that, all right, I'm the guy, and he's not looking for my replacement. And that's what scares you with the Central Florida kid and also this Nick Evers kid, is Caleb's going to see it and think maybe they're looking for the replacement. And I don't know. I don't truly, like if I'm at OU right now, if I'm Brent Venables, if I'm Jeff Levy, I'm not talking to any quarterback besides Caleb Williams until Caleb Williams tries to leave. There's no need for a backup plan until he decides to decommit. Yeah. So I don't love it.
He is 21, by the way. Want to make that correction real quick.
Yeah, class of 21.
So it was every 2 years.
But
the only quarterback we should be talking to is Arch Manning.
I was going to say we can transition that into the next segment about the quarterback situation. Is Arch Manning. Obviously, there's been a connection because obviously Eli Manning played at Ole Miss. Arch Manning has visited Ole Miss before, has interest in that program, and the Manning family has formed a relationship with Jeff Lebby. And I felt like OU with Lincoln Riley wasn't an opportunity, obviously, because Malachi Nelson was committed, and why would the number 1 and number 2 quarterback go to the same school? Obviously, I mean, anyone that doesn't know Arch Manning, he's the number 1 quarterback in the 2023 class. I know it might sound
player in the 23 class.
Yeah. So number 1 overall. I mean, he's prototypical size. He's everything. And I couldn't imagine the thought that you lose Lincoln Riley and maybe long term that the Sooners could potentially be in the running for Arch Manning. I mean, it's crazy. Not saying it's going to happen, but I feel like that connection with Lebby being at Ole Miss could really pay dividends in the long run, especially if he takes Caleb Williams to that next level over the next season. I feel like Arch Manning would have to really start to consider that, hey, maybe Lebby knows what he's doing. And that's another added pressure to keep Caleb Williams, is to show what Lebby can do with him. I think that's another big selling point to Arch Manning, that you can't just bring in an average quarterback. You need to have the top notch to stay. I mean, I don't know. It would really help their case for Arch Manning to come.
I don't know. I agree with the point that Arch should definitely look at Oklahoma if you mentioned, the Manning family seems to have a good relationship with Lebby. But there has to also there's also the viewpoint of, Lebby has made Corral a good quarterback. I'm not sure where he came out, like his rating coming out of high school, but he wasn't that great before Lebby, and now he was potentially almost Heisman finalist. He's going to be a highly drafted quarterback in this next draft. Now, he's probably thinking, imagine me at a better baseline. I'm going to be this much better by the time I leave school. And I agree, having a guy like Caleb will give him a better comparison, like more even, but he was already considering Ole Miss. And again, Corral was not a top-notch quarterback coming out of high school from what I know. And I may be wrong, but that was not something that was a concern before. He was looking at Texas, Georgia, and Tennessee were his final 4 schools, I think, or the 4 schools he had taking visits to this year. So, I mean, he's just looking at schools from offensive and also the relationship that their families have with them, which I believe Oklahoma can really put them in a position to win, not just from Lebby being there, but we get talent on the offense pretty regularly.
Yeah, I'll just add this in. I just looked it up. Matt Corral, he was the number 4 pro style quarterback according to 247, and number 63 overall player in the class, in the 2018 class. So not a bad prospect either in his defense. But you're right. He definitely didn't take that next step until Jeff Lebby and Lane Kiffin really coached him up. So
yeah, Brandon, and mainly Jeff Lebby though is the encouraging part for Oklahoma.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he had the offensive coordinator title for the last 2 years there, and they had top-notch offenses all, in both years.
And Matt Corral himself tweeted whenever, the news is official that Lebby was coming to Oklahoma. He quote tweeted it and said, they're getting the best in the business, like with all caps, best in the business, which is why I truly hope that Caleb Williams' first phone call is to Matt Corral, because I think if he makes that phone call, we're in good hands.
Yeah, I would imagine Matt Corral is going to talk highly of him and, shoot him straight. And yeah, I mean, there's great spot. It's just a little uncertainty. I do think like you said, Brandon, the longer he's on the roster, the better it's going to play out for the Sooners, especially keeping him on the roster for the bowl game. It's going to pay dividends. So other than that, there's going to be a lot of more videos coming out and more discussion points as time passes. I think we can move on unless you guys have anything to add before we go to the next one. So I think the, next two are, they're kind of equally big. Gabriel Brownlow, Dindy, this can be kind of a quick one. Obviously, the Sooners have lost his commitment. His family both went to Oklahoma, so he's OU legacy, and he was committed for a while, and he was definitely a Coach Thibodeau kind of guy, which nothing wrong with that. I mean, you want to be, you want to really like your position coach because you're going to be playing with them for 3 to 4 years. And as soon as Thibodeau was gone, he decommitted and committed to A&M. It's a huge loss. It's kind of one of those deals, in my opinion. There's no hope going back. It is what it is. It's done. I feel like all the connections that he had, obviously, because that defensive staff coach, we assume that whole defensive side of the ball has been let go or is already left, and it is what it is. But I think right now, this is kind of what the cost of doing business is, as far as Brent Venables getting his guys in and just what he thinks is the best for the long term. I know Brent Venables had him as more of a 3-tech type player, and Gabriel Brownlow Dindy wasn't a big fan of that and wanted to play, a little inside, a little outside, and kind of move around a lot. And that's what OU recruited him as, and that's what A&M recruited him as. And he went where he could do that, where he thought he was the best. Whether Venables is right or A&M's right, I don't know. I guess we'll find out over the next few years. So, you guys have anything to add to that?
No, just that it sucks, but like I said, in Brent, we have to trust at this point. And I think that, I guess, real quick, the difference is, and you touched on it, OU has been selling kids on when you get to this campus and when you're coached by our staff, we'll put you at whatever position, we have you as a priority. And let's say for Billy Bowman, for example, we prioritize you to be a defensive back, but we'll give you the opportunity to be a wide receiver. Brent, on the other hand, has an idea of where this kid is going to fit, and if it's not, and if that doesn't align, he doesn't want to force the fit. He wants to make sure that his vision is fulfilled as well as the players. And once that aligns, then it's like he said, the kind of person I want in my program, and the person that's going to excel with the OU and Sooner brand on his chest. And unfortunately, Dindy just wasn't that guy. But we're going to get guys on the defensive side of the ball sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and I think you're exactly right. I was in Brent we trust, but this is one thing I talked about to you guys, off air before we started the show is I do kind of wish he would have retained Thibodeau in some role, even like as a not even like the main D-line coach or main DN coach, whatever, but just on the roster specifically to keep Brownlow Dindy, because I think Brownlow Dindy can be really special, and he's a guy who did want to go to Oklahoma, and we kind of lost him because of that. But yeah, like Ho said, in Venables we do trust, but I think that's one where I think if he ends up being the next Myles Garrett, we're gonna be like, damn, we kind of screwed the pooch there.
Yeah, it's just the victim of poor timing. I feel like literally any other season in recent memory, not when the defense was historically bad, but it would have worked out for the Sooners and for Dindy, but it is what it is. I think really the next guy we will really want to talk about that's been kind of a roller coaster recently is McKenzie. Anyone that doesn't know about him, he was committed to the Sooners for about 2 years. He's a 6'2", 250-pound linebacker out of Lubbock, Texas, in the 2022 class, number 144 overall recruit, number 13 linebacker. He was a 4-star. Terrific player, can be inserted into the lineup probably freshman year, just how he's built. He decommitted immediately after Lincoln Riley left. And because he was a big fan of Brian Odom, the linebackers coach under Lincoln Riley. And then, since he was unsure, he decommitted, and Odom then went and took a job reportedly with USC, or it's expected that he took a job with USC. And in the matter of that time, he flipped and committed to Texas. And now Brent Venables, as of today, we're recording this on the 8th, Wednesday the 8th. He went in and visited Kobe McKenzie today, and I don't know who else went with him, but had a nice long conversation, probably sold him on the vision of the program and what he sees Kobe doing. And apparently it was well received. I mean, I feel like it has to be well received if you're committed to a program for 2 years. I don't feel like it's hard for a coach like Venables to come in and sell you again. And I think Jose or Brandon or both you pointed out, as of right now, he deleted his commitment or committed photos off of Twitter of his commitment to Texas. So those are gone. Does that mean, I mean, I feel like that has to mean something. I mean, what do you guys think real quick?
I know Brandon was really passionate about this one, so I'll let him go first.
No, that was I wanted to give credit where credit's due, and Hose pointed that out, is that he did delete that post. And the only thing I can say is, not that it means everything, but at the same time, it doesn't mean it's not that it means nothing, because I promise you, if this kid is 100% locked in on Texas, want to be a Longhorn, you know what I mean, sold on the program, whatever, he's not deleting that. So, like, it's a little bit sus on that end, but also good for Oklahoma. We talked about it off air, off shows. Bro, I think you're right in regards as Venables sat down with him and his family for 3 hours today and sold the big picture, the big program thing, and was like, this is what you can be. And then instantly he deletes his picture in the Longhorn uniform, which is, at the end of the day, like I said, it doesn't mean everything, but it's only good for Oklahoma.
Yeah, for sure. It's not bad. It can't be.
Exactly.
Yeah. And not just that, but Venables has coached some pretty good linebackers in his day at Clemson. I mean, the biggest name I can think of right now is Isaiah Simmons. Went top 10 in the draft, I believe. So, you know, pretty good guy to sell there. Like, he's got the ability to coach linebackers. I believe he was a linebacker coach at one point in his career. So that's a position that, even though he may not be hands-on now that he's the head coach at OU, he knows how to develop it so he can discuss with the coach. And if the kid ever wants to have a meeting with him, he knows how to develop that position. So I think not just deleting the post on Twitter, but that long conversation that he had with both him and his family, it definitely went a long way, it seemed like. And that he's definitely going to be thinking about it over the next, 7 days, because today, like you said, today's the 8th. And exactly 1 week, we're going to know where some of these kids are going to go to attend college, and some of them will be early enrollees. So he's got a big decision to make in a really short time, and it's probably really stressful for him. So I wish him nothing but luck. But it seemed like whatever Brent said to him today really, really hit home, and he could be coming back, because he was a kid that was committed to OU for quite a bit.
At the end of the day, you don't delete that picture unless, I mean, because if he's 100% sold, you don't delete it. Like, it's a little bit sus, but let's see what happens.
Yep. So, and just real quick, obviously, if you guys haven't seen, Perion Winfrey, Brian Asamoah, and Nick Bonino all declared for the NFL draft. Reports maybe a few more players might enter. Don't know. It's tough to tell at this point. Before we wrap this up, do you guys have any final thoughts on anything before we end this show?
Hopefully those Sooners get drafted up there, but they've helped develop the talent behind them, so we'll be in a great position next year.
Same.
Yep.
Best luck to all three of those guys.
Yeah, and anyone else who declares, if you guys haven't already, hit that subscribe button. And if you don't enjoy looking at us, go find us on Spotify, follow us on Twitter, Instagram. It's all Two Plain Sports. All the handles are. Just search it up, follow us. We're going to keep you up to date on everything, and we really appreciate it. Comment below. Let us know what you think on all the different positions we talked about and all the different guys we talked about. We'd love to hear what you have to say. And we'll get back to you, and we'll get you some more content coming your way here over the next few weeks. We appreciate it. Thanks.